Our community has experienced great tragedy, yet has exhibited great resiliency. We have been given this gift and we extend it to you. Natives were never homeless before 1492.
Yeah, my name is Derek Belgard. I'm an enrolled member of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians of Oregon. I'm also Chippewa Cree from Mockeboy, Montana. I'm the deputy director here at Chief Seattle Club. I've been here for just a little over 5 years. About half of that on the role as deputy director. Previous to that, I was the program manager. You know, we've been watching it on the news way before it kind of got serious and more real here in Seattle. Beginning of March, you start getting nervous and start getting, as it's getting closer and closer to the community. I think it was about the 17th of March, we actually started having to alter our programming and rethinking how we were doing things. That's when we started limiting our services and stuff on the 17th of March. So it was probably about a week to 2 weeks before that, the fear level and anxiety was building up. The homelessness, I always tell everybody, there's this wide, very long spectrum of homelessness. And a lot of people don't realize that, you have everything from like the really true chronic individualized homeless mental health issues. People have been on the streets for 15, 20 years, right? Chronic mental health problems, probably substances too, and all that. You have that type of homelessness all the way to people who just maybe lost their place because they got priced out. Maybe their apartment building got bought and they raised the rents and all of a sudden they're homeless. And they're going to be homeless probably for a short period or something, right? And you have every little thing in between. Our people, we've been through all kinds of atrocities, 500 years. With that, built up a lot of tolerance, a lot of resilience, a lot of fearlessness in a sense. Our community that we serve in are just kind of walking as if like nothing's happening. I mean, I know we have a few scared individuals, but generally speaking, for the most part, they just looking at it like it's just another smallpox type of deal. I mean, or it's just another attempt. So like their spirits, things like that are not really broken from this, because they're dealing with homelessness. They're walking the streets and going through hell 24/7 before COVID, living out in the elements, sometimes not eating, sometimes, not even having any kind of shelter, not even a tarp. They're sleeping under bridges without anything, right? Something like this comes along. I don't think it doesn't really take them down, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So I think our community is doing well. It's our staff that I worry about. Our staff seems to be scared. People who have families and things like, they're worried about taking it home. We have some staff who have elders in their home, and they're really concerned about what if they get exposed to it here and then take it home. That seems to be the bigger of the two. About that direct feeling about COVID, but there is a lot of things that they are suffering more because of it, even though they're taking it with strides, like our limited services. That in itself, like this was their home. Like a survival technique of people on the streets is to walk around the street all night to stay safe, because, that's where you're going to get mugged, robbed, beat up, or things like that. So a lot of times our members would come in and use our day area down below as a place for respite, just a place for care, just to relax, kick their feet up. So like those type of minor programming we would do, we can't offer that right now. And that's where it's hurting our members. Yeah, just even our showers, just being able to come in and shower. And the biggest thing I think is just the socialization aspect, just coming in and being able to be around other Native people and feeling that community. That is one of the bigger blows too. I mean, ever since I've worked here, even before I worked here, my goal was always working the homelessness community because I suffer with homelessness and a lot of addictions and things. And I was down. I always say I draw my strength to keep going from day to day from our members, I think so many times, like in our own lives, that we think we're going through stressful times and hard times. We think, I don't even understand how I can get up out of bed all week. Oh, last week was a tough week or things like that. But we didn't. To put 10, 15 miles a day on your feet, on worn out shoes every day with hardly zero nutrition in your body, with a substance abuse, with sleep deprivation, being on the streets, being out in the cold, the elements, being harassed, looked down, all those things that when I look at our members and I see them just keep their head up as Native people and they still walk in and they still walk around with that Native pride, to me, that's always gives me strength. We live in a very colonized world, right? A very westernized approach, and everything that we have to do and think, the things that we're told to admire, to try to achieve in this capitalistic world, are things that are not very Indigenous minded, right? But we have to support our families, and we want the best for our children. So we always compromise, And we always kind of, at the end of the day, even like the most successful people in our community are always, I'm sure most of them anyways, they go home and wonder, am I selling out? Did I sell out more, to get that nice house, or, the 2 cars in the garage? And I look at our members, our relatives on the streets, and I see them that they've never compromised that. They keep their identity, even though they may not be culturally connected. There's still a breakthrough from the historical traumas and intergenerational traumas that have been passed down. There's this Native pride in them that won't succumb to any of that. They know who they are, and they're not going to change. And in that, in itself, I see that as a very strong thing. We're living our lives. Sure, we're homebound. We're not throwing away, wasting money, wasting resources, burning up gas, doing things that are harmful to the environment and harmful for your own wallet. You need money to survive, and we're getting by fine, just as fine. And if anything, human connection is getting stronger. And I've noticed that, and I thought about that too, because every year I go back to ceremony, and I love it. Like every time I leave ceremony after, a week or so, that thinking, oh man, I got to go back to, to normal society, or actually it's abnormal society, right? And you're like, this sucks. Because you feel that sense of community, right? And you're with everybody every day on a ceremonial site, whatever ceremony you may be doing. You're gathering around with people, eating, breaking bread with people, laughing, crying, being together. And it definitely grounds you. And I think this kind of grounded me and my family that way too, because that's what I thought about. I thought, this is really great. And it took a while, because every time also when I go back out to ceremony, it takes about a week to unwind. I usually take a couple weeks off. And the first week I'm just out camping or something, right? It takes a way to just sweat that city off of you. Sweat that city out of you, right? So it took a little while, but the last week and a half, it's been really good. We had a really good time at home with the family, prevention is not throwing away money. I think a lot of people think prevention is throwing away money, and it's not. It's actually an investment. So I'm hoping that we learn from our mistakes and we do that. We do the properly plan and preparation for future things like this to happen. Even myself, I've already grown. Even like I'll find myself into a store if I have to go get some groceries, and I'll pick something up and I'll look at it and think, oh, price check like everybody does. But then when it's in my hand, I'll think, the first thing that comes to my mind is, wonder how many other customers before me grabbed this too, right? I mean, it's all over, not just COVID, but just germs in general. So, I'm more conscientious about exposure and things like that. I know I'll be taking better care of my own health in that way. Even when this is gone, it's going to have in my psyche for a long time about what you touch, how many times I touch my face, things like that. So hopefully there's a long lasting effect of these type of behaviors that this will stick with everybody. And it'll help bring down a lot of other things that pass around too, right? Even the common cold may even go down some if we all learn properly from this, right? Our community is constantly going through something. So I think we're going to get through this just fine. I'm sure there'll be some loss, and our blessings go up to them and their families, anybody who is affected by this, even outside of our community. But I think we're going to get through this. And I think that we learn from this and we can actually ensure that this doesn't happen again in the future. I hope people see the great things that are starting to happen because of it, like the pollution going down, what's really important in life and what's not. Maybe it's going to take something that's like COVID. We always were hoping it's some politician, but nobody ever brings the change that we want. Maybe COVID will. Start thinking about Mother Earth, protecting it a little better, treating her with the respect and the kindness that we should be. I know those are things that may be out there, maybe no medicinal scientific data or facts or something, but we all know as Native people that what brought COVID was or probably disrespected, and the way we've treated, the earth and all those other things in one way or form, everything's related, right? And everything's connected, and we brought it on ourselves. Maybe not individually, but as a whole worldly society, we brought this on ourselves, and I hope we learn from that. If we do play our cards right in the future, get back to actually Indigenous ways the best we can, it'll definitely minimize this happening again.
Natives were never homeless before 1492. Chief Seattle Club is a sacred space to nurture, affirm, and renew the spirit of urban Native people. This is the time to show our greatness as a community by giving, sharing, supporting, and believing in the goodness and humanity embedded in each of us. For more information on how you can help, visit chiefseattleclub.org.
Privileged to be the executive director here at Chief Seattle Club, where we support our relatives who've been out there experiencing homelessness. We know that in Seattle and around the country that Native people have these very, very high rates of homelessness. And we wanted to share a little bit with you about our response to the COVID-19 virus. And also, hopefully this will be helpful to those of you around the country where we know that COVID-19 is heading your way. We know that it is very important for us to be responding to our relatives out there who are this is going to be hard. They're not going to be able to be quarantined. They're not going to be able to stay home if they're sick because they do not have a home. And so we here at Chief Seattle Club are open 7 days a week as we respond to this. One of the most important things we can do is to wash our hands. So I'm really grateful to be standing right next to our new hand washing station. It'll be placed right here in the lobby of Chief Seattle Club. And we'll be inviting people to wash their hands as soon as they come to the building. Then we'll also be asking people 4 questions. We'll be asking them, do you have a fever? Do you have a cough? And do you have shortness of breath? And finally, would you like us to check if you have a fever? And this is really important so that we can just get that good screening taken care of right away. It'll help us stop the spread of this virus. If someone does say that they have any of those symptoms, we're going to ask you to wear a mask. Now, for those of you around the country who might be watching this, we want to invite you to really try to find these masks. We're so grateful for the Seattle Community Health Board and for King County Public Health for making sure we have these masks. Because if someone is coughing and we're in a close environment here at the club, we want to make sure we're wearing these. We also want to invite people to think about social distancing. So be thinking about not sitting as close to your buddy as you might usually, or don't drink after someone, don't eat after someone. Just make sure that you're spreading out a little bit so that we can not be spreading this around, and most importantly, be washing our hands. So we are really grateful for all of our many supporters. I'm especially grateful for the staff here at the Chief Seattle Club who continue to just like pour their hearts and love into our members. This is important work. Our relatives who are experiencing homelessness deserve for us to give them everything we've got. So that's what we're doing here at the club. I hope that this is helpful for people around the country. And we're just sending all of our love and prayers to everyone out there who's been impacted by this virus. And we hope that we're going to be able to stop it from spreading with our homeless relatives. So thanks again for watching, and look forward to seeing you all soon.
Well, it's quite an honor to be named the U.S. Poet Laureate, and I'm just at the very beginning. So what I'm doing is assessing the most how I can be most useful in this position, and of course, it's going to have a lot to do with Native poets, Native Nations poets. With a huge team, we just finished editing a Norton anthology of Native poetry, but it's also about, of course, American poetry and American voices, which is really, how we sing the American story. And that involves all of the voices. I keep thinking of a poetry ancestor tree, and you have all the makings of it in here at the Academy of American Poets with all these books and so on. But, how would you construct that? I always tell my students about poetry ancestors that every poem has so many poetry ancestors. And so how could we construct a poetry ancestor map of America that would include and start off with poetry of Indigenous nations? We would start there, and those strands continue into the very present with wonderful young Native poets we have right now. But all of there's so many. I guess what strikes me is the diversity of Native poetry, which was here and is still growing, and the diversity of American poetry, which has roots all over the world. There's a root system that's connected all over the Americas, which is one body, and all over the world. You would find those roots connecting. So it would have something to do with that. I have no idea how that would work. But those are two of the ideas. The one with Native poetries is like saying, yes, we are here, we're humans. There was a study done recently by a group called the Illuminative, run by Crystal Echohawk, that gathered data. It was a study, there's never been a study like this with it was funded by the Kellogg Foundation to look at images of our indigenous peoples, Native Nations people, and say, what are these images? What is the perception of us in this country? And what was startling was that a large percentage of Americans thought we still were questionable about our humanness. So ultimately, poetry is, I think of poetry as soul talk, as it carries, they're like little increments of you can carry all kinds of time in one poem. You can carry several pieces of stories in one poem, several countries in a poem can exist together peacefully in a poem. And so I think of how poetry enables us to shift our images of each other and to listen. You cannot write poetry if you don't listen. And that's probably one of my biggest lessons in this life, is learning how to listen. Poetry has been teaching me that. I'm not done by no means. You're always learning, but it's like with our poetry, we can listen to each other. And so how does that translate with, the American public? We all need to, it's a diverse, a healthy ecosystem is a system of diversity. That's the same thing in poetry, in different poetry streams. It's the same thing with peoples in a country. So somehow I would like to pull all that. We have a lot, we have a lot of work to do, all of us. So
Have you ever felt like nobody was there? Have you ever felt forgotten in the middle of nowhere? Have you ever felt like you could disappear? Like you could fall and no one would hear? So let that lonely feeling wash away, 'cause maybe there's a reason to believe you'll be okay. 'Cause when you don't feel strong enough to stand, you can reach out your hand. And oh, someone will come running, and I know they'll take you home. Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, and when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So let the sun come streaming in, 'cause you'll reach up and you'll rise again. Lift your head and look around. You will be found. 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 There's a place where we don't have to feel unknown. And every time that you call out, you're a little less alone. If you only say the word, from across the silence, your voice is heard. Oh, someone will come running. Oh, to take you home. To take you home. Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So let the sun come streaming in, 'cause you'll reach up and you'll rise again. If you only look around, you will be found. You will be found. You will be found. So let the sun come streaming in, 'cause you'll reach up and you'll rise again. If you only look around, you will be found.
The mission of Chi Seattle Club is to create sacred space to nurture, affirm, and renew the spirit of urban Native people. And we believe that it is our sacred responsibility to find ways to support our Native community who are experiencing homelessness. We know that if you're Native American and you live in the city of Seattle, you are 7 times more likely to be homeless. So we, as a Native community, Native-led organization, said, we will respond. We can provide a culturally appropriate housing that will serve our relatives in a way that no one else can. All is a Lashutsi word for home. So there'll be 80 units of housing. We'll have a clinic that people can go and get to take care of their medical needs. We'll have an art gallery. We'll have workforce development. And this project is going to look and feel like a Native project from the inside out. And I think it's going to be a project that we can all be really proud of right here in the heart of Pioneer Square.
In doing an architectural design, Chief Seattle Club made it pretty clear to us that they want to honor Indigenous people. They want to honor the cultural heritage of the Coast Salish people, who this is Central Coast Salish people in this area, and then also the diversity of their Native clients, and bring that into the project.
And another thing that was intriguing was, one is it's in Pioneer Square, which is the oldest settled neighborhood in Seattle, but there's also a longer history there that has not been talked about as much. And this was a great opportunity for the Chief Seattle Club to tell that story in the architecture.
Chief Seattle Club was very vital to me in my early days. I was homeless on the streets for about a month or so at that time. And when I came into the Chief Seattle Club, the very first thing I remember coming into it, hearing the big drum going on in the gathering circle. I mean, I really felt like I wasn't alone for the first time in a very long time. And I think that's what the members get today. There's a sense of loss of culture, lots of identity. And when they come to the Chief Seattle Club, they get that. They can reconnect in a place that they can feel safe and revitalize that Native spirit.
If it weren't for Chief Seattle Club, I wouldn't be able to survive out here. You just feel at home here because there's an understanding within the tribes when you meet people here that we're all in this together. You know, that people understand each other, where they came from or where they're coming from.
This project, this expansion, this optimistic, forward-looking campaign to grow the facility right at the core of this remarkable city, to not just solve the problem of Native homelessness, but to celebrate Native life that we all spring from. We all need to get on board with that.
It's just one of the most exciting campaigns and initiatives that's happening, I think, for Native people anywhere in the country right now, and we're lucky that it's happening here in Seattle. So it's a great organization and everyone should support it.
We want to invite you to join us. This is about a movement. This isn't just about one campaign or one building. This is about Native people saying, we know how to take care of our people. We believe that our relatives deserve to come inside into secure housing. Join us in this movement that is going to change the world, because when we bring Native people inside into secure housing, we're going to see their ideas come forward in amazing ways. So this is a compelling opportunity, and we want to invite you to be a part of the work that we're doing here at Chief Seattle Club and for all building. Join us. Let's build all together.
Let's build all together.
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 Let's build all together.
All together.
The native peoples of this country have always shared a connection to its land, to its waters, to its spirit. We share the responsibility of protecting it, and we stand united in that commitment. We stood united in the face of adversity and adapted to serve the land in new ways. We stood united when we were told to move on, that our voices did not count. We fought and continue to fight for change. We continue to make our voices heard because we are are still here. Our traditions are still strong. Our vote is our voice, and every Native vote counts.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today for the second day of our virtual series on the 50th anniversary of the Chief Seattle Club. We are so honored that you are here. My name is Colleen Echohawk. I'm the executive director here at the Chief Seattle Club. I'm a member of the Pawnee Nation of Oklahoma. I also belong to the Upper Athabascan people of Metasta Lake, and I represent many urban Native people who live here in King County region. There's about 80,000 urban Native people who live in our region. And I am so happy and honored to be able to serve a lot of our urban Native folks at the Chief Seattle Club. The Chief Seattle Club is a human service agency. We are a day center. We are a housing provider for our relatives who've been experiencing homelessness. And it is one of the greatest joys of my life to be able to do this work and to celebrate and to honor American Indian, Alaska Native people who have been experiencing homelessness in this city. We are here today because this is our 50th anniversary. It's also the time of year that we usually do our big luncheon. We usually have a huge luncheon. Last year we had Cecile Fire Thunder as a speaker. We've had other amazing speakers over the years, but because of the COVID-19 crisis, we are not having a luncheon, but we are having a virtual series that we just want to warmly invite you to. We want you to donate. This is a time for you to be thinking about hopping onto our website or sending us a check. We do some incredibly valuable work. You know, you can see here on this slide that $3,200 moves in a homeless member into permanent housing. That is a pretty incredible number. Only $3,200 can move someone into permanent housing. With a donation of $1,000, you can support the wages of a Native Works apprenticeship. You know, our Native Works program is one of a kind, and it works so well. For $500, you can support field trips for our members to go through traditional healing and connect to land and water and to work with traditional medicine people from this area. There's many other ways you can support us. For $250, you can provide transportation from a homeless member to be welcomed home. This is really incredibly important. For $100, you can provide groceries to our homebound elders. You know, during COVID-19, we don't want our elders coming in to getting groceries and food at the Chief Seattle Club. We want them to stay at home, to stay well, and for only $100, you can support that work. So please consider donating. That's what we're here for today. We're really excited to share with you some of the work that we're doing. But before we do that, I just want to take a moment to recognize that as an urban Native person, I am not on my traditional homelands. My traditional homelands are Kansas and Nebraska, but we are in Coast Salish territory. And we want to take a moment to recognize those tribes, to recognize the Suquamish Nation, to recognize the Muckleshoot Nation, to recognize the Duwamish tribe, to recognize the Tulalipes and Snoqualmie and Nisqually, these beautiful, wonderful tribes who support our work. And in fact, Muckleshoot and Suquamish and Tulalip have all been sponsors of our event this week. So huge thank you. Oh, and Snoqualmie have been just continue to support us. People ask us all the time, do the tribes support you? Absolutely. Our wonderful tribal communities support the work that we do here at the Chief Seattle Club and have supported our event this week. We also just want to thank our corporate sponsors that have sponsored this event this week in incredible ways, including Zillow, Comcast, and of course, the wonderful Seattle Kraken, our new NHL team, big sponsors and supporters of our work at Chief Seattle Club. So we want to invite you to join them and join the Seattle Kraken in supporting the work we do at Chief Seattle Club. And I hope that when we all get to go out to one of their amazing games, that you'll remember the Chief Seattle Club and remember the work that we're doing to support the spirit, to support the body of Native people who've been experiencing homelessness. And so today we're going to take some time to think about what the day-to-day life is at Chief Seattle Club. And let me tell you, it is a really busy life. We've been working super hard. We always work hard, but during the COVID response, it is even more strenuous. It's even more difficult. And we're trying to keep our staff safe. We're trying to keep our members safe. And we've stayed open every single day during this COVID response. So we're going to share about that with you today. I also just want to make a quick plug for the next 3 days. Tomorrow is kind of our flagship day. We're so excited to welcome Joy Harjo, U.S. Poet Laureate. She will be in conversation with our dear friend and arts influencer here in the Seattle region, Tracy Rector and Joy Harjo, tomorrow at 12:30. Tell your friends and families. We're expecting a huge turnout. And, you know, yesterday we had Superman, Christian Parrish Takes a Gun, an old friend of the Chief Seattle Club. and we had over over 1,000 people were viewing that. We expect even more tomorrow for Joy Harjo, and we're hoping for a huge crowd today too, right? This is like the work. This is how we do it, and so we're gonna go behind the scenes and hear from our Deputy Director Derek Bellegarde and from Donalda Lyons about how they do this work in the middle of this really intense time. So today, join us, tell your friends and neighbor. We invite you to share all this out on your social medias and invite people to join us. And of course, to consider a donation, to consider supporting the food, supporting the showers, supporting all of the work that we do to ensure that our relatives feel loved. That is the heart of the work we do. That's why Chief Seattle Club is different. We are family and community taking care of our relatives. So we invite you to join us. We invite you to partner with us in this incredible mission that we have. I always tell people I've never seen a better mission of a nonprofit. Our mission is to provide sacred space to nurture, affirm, and renew the spirit of urban Native people. It doesn't get much better than that. I love our mission. I hope we never ever change it, because it is the heart. It is the heart of why we do this work. We care and we love about our members. So I want to take this time now to open up the doors to the Chief Seattle Club and invite our Deputy Director, Derek Bellegarde, to join us. Derek has been at the Chief Seattle Club for over 4 years now as a staff member. And Derek, I want to ask you just to take a moment to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the work that you do. And, if you feel so inclined, you can tell us your favorite dance move. Let's make this fun, exciting. I'm always joking around. When will Derek do an interpretive dance at the Chief Seattle Club? So we're glad you're here, Derek.
Yeah, that's next year's virtual series, not this one. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all for being here. As Colleen said, my name is Derek Bellegarde. I'm an enrolled member of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians of Oregon. I'm also Chippewa Cree from Rocky Boy, Montana. And I also have the honor to be the Deputy Director here at Chief Seattle Club. I've been the Deputy Director for about 4 years, as Colleen stated. I've been a staff going on 6 now, and I always consider myself first and foremost a member, because I've been a member for the Chief Seattle Club over 11 years now. So it's a place that's very near and dear to my heart. I love the work I do. I can't imagine working anywhere else in the city or anywhere else, period. It's an honor to be here at Chief Seattle Club and to serve our relatives out there in need, and to offer that healing and provide that sacred space. So my role as Deputy Director at Chief Seattle Club is very service-oriented, kind of oversee the administering of our day-to-day programming and the services we provide. Yeah. So thank you. And again, I just want to plug what Colleen was saying. I hope you find in your hearts to donate and contribute and help our organization reach more of our Indigenous folks out there on the streets.
Awesome. Derek, we may get some more people to donate if you promise to do a little interpretive dance.
Yeah, if you stick around, maybe, unless we run out of time.
Well, we're just glad. We talk about this a lot. You and I have like an incredible partnership. We work really well together and have a lot of fun together. If you guys haven't heard that right now, so thank you for being here, Derek. And I also wanted to invite Donalda to join us. Donalda, it was our first manager at Eagle Village. We'll talk about Eagle Village a little bit later on. But Eagle Village is our first housing project, and Donalda now is our housing manager, manages many of our housing case managers. So Donalda, take a moment to introduce yourself to our crowd out there today.
Hello, everybody. My name is Donalda. I am an enrolled member of the Gila River Indian community. I am also Thana Adem. I have been working here at Chief Seattle for almost 3 years, beginning of next year. I truly love and enjoy the work that I am able to do here within for our urban relatives who are out on the street. I am very honored to be in the position I am now and extremely blessed to have been the first site manager for Eco Village. So I'm very happy to be here with everybody.
Donalda, thank you so much. I'm really glad that you're here. And I just think that today I kind of been feeling super excited and invigorated about just sharing this day-to-day work because, the Chief Seattle Club is open 7 days a week. We are only closed on Indigenous Peoples Day, and the amount of work that happens is just tremendous. And so we're going to show you all video, but before we do that, I just want to say thank you to our staff. You guys, Donalda and Derek, I thank you for your work, and this all of our staff. We have almost 40, we have 45 staff, 45 plus. We're hiring a few right now. And so you all just do this work. You care so much. And I just appreciate you so much. I also know we have some board members listening in. We appreciate our board members supporting our work, raising money, answering the calls, and just doing this for us. We just are so grateful. So we want to take a minute now to show you a little video that we did this past couple of months about the work that we've been doing through this COVID response, because it has been intense. And we're going to talk a little bit more about it in detail. But we want to show it to you. And we also want to thank Jeff Barehand of Skype Media, who helped create this video, along with our development manager, Olivia. So thank you, Jeff. We'll have you show the video now.
We have provided meals for the homeless population just to make sure that people are able to eat during.
What are we up to, Fransky?
150 right now.
Yeah, so it'll come out to maybe about 225, and it'll probably be gone in 30 minutes, if that.
And that's every morning. The kitchen staff, I understand, come in about 5 every morning to get started.
On a normal day, we work from 6 to 2, 364 days a year. I like to give them healthy, nutritious, well-rounded meals.
I mean, there's a lot of things that they would never try or have a chance to try.
Once they start eating healthy and nutritious, maybe they'll start feeling better about themselves.
There is a connection with mental health and what we're putting into our bodies. So if I'm eating good, then guess what? I'm feeling good emotionally. And when I'm feeling good emotionally, I'm feeling good spiritually.
We do a lot of different things. Wash their clothes, paying for glasses, things that they need.
We connect people to resources to get IDs, birth certificates.
Every member has a unique story. They're going to need unique resources.
We provide nursing services to the members at least 3 days a week. Anybody who comes in who has wounds that they need taken care of, vaccinations, we really like to get to know the members and find the best way that we can help them, especially from a medical standpoint.
We're a very small organization, so even though different programs entail different qualifications, different policies, it's very important for us to work as a team.
We do have to provide moral support to each other. We pray at every meeting. We usually smudge at every meeting too.
We try and get them into housing one way or another, try and find a spot for them to go.
Getting someone successfully housed and just finding them an open unit. It's making sure that they have the resources to sustain their housing after the case management is done and the payments have been made.
Native Americans, unfortunately, they make up a lot of the homelessness in Seattle.
Chief Seattle Club is for natives. If a native person comes, from out of town, from their home reservation or something, and they walk through the doors and they smell sage, that's going to be like, oh, I know that smell. I know that.
I know our trauma is very specific and a lot of people aren't educated on it. So being Native American myself, I wanted to come in just to provide that extra level of comfort to our members.
By getting people in good, culturally appropriate treatment and also stable housing, we're going to see a shift in their whole life.
A lot of them just need somewhere to shower and to sleep and be safe and get regulated on their medication. That way they could be successful in job searching. You can't do that if you have to worry about where you're going to sleep that night.
I definitely think that Chief Seattle Club has been making a big difference. We give out, about 120
bag breakfast, and then we give out about 170 or so hot lunches every day.
Being in the kitchen, working with food, knowing that I'm providing a service, feeding with good high spirits, doing my little part of making the world go round, you know?
For some people, that may be the only meal that they get in a day. People need to eat.
I look forward to working with our members, just being able to make a little ripple in the community through our housing program.
Natives can heal natives. We can heal our own people. We've seen it.
I believe Creator put me here to do that.
I think that's what makes this more than just a job.
It's really exciting that Chief Seattle Club is having the 50th anniversary.
Congratulations on 50 years. You have been able to help hundreds and thousands of Indian people.
It's a great feeling to be a part of such an amazing organization.
Happy 50th, Chief Seattle Club.
Happy 50th, Chief Seattle Club.
Congratulations. Keep up the good work.
We just want to continue to grow and continue to be there for our members.
Chief Seattle Club, my hands are raised to you. Here's to another 50 years.
Wow, that is so beautiful. I just love seeing that. I know that when I first saw that video, I was definitely had a lot of tears in my eyes. I'm trying to keep it together today because we have to talk. But what is your guys' reaction to that video?
Very powerful. Wow.
Yeah, I agree. It's amazing, I guess, you know. It's a good feeling right now.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling.
Donald was trying to keep it together.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good reminder, like, you know, to hear it come from other. I feel like I'm saying it all the time. I'm always out there talking about the club, you know, but to hear it from our members and to hear what you said, Donald, about natives healing natives, and knowing, you know, our mental health therapist, Seth Studley, who is also a Native man, knowing the work that he does and how important it has been for our members to have that consistency. And just thinking back on the 50th year, and, you know, on Friday, we're going to have a whole day, you know, our whole hour will be about that 50th anniversary, but so much has changed, you know, like we used to just be like in the bottom of the Lazarus Day Center for a couple of hours. And now, let's see, 7 years ago when I started, we were only open 5 days a week, and now we're open every day. So that has had a huge impact. Derek, you've seen a lot of our members respond to that 7 day a week. What does that mean for folks to be open 7 days?
It means a lot. Like, you know, one of our most crucial services, I always say, is one of our most basic, and it's often overlooked and thought about. It's just our basic meal program. So many of our relatives on the streets, rely solely on our Chief Seattle Club to provide that sustenance day in and day out.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we'd see some people leave on that Friday afternoon and not see them again until Monday morning, of course, and then know that a lot of them didn't even eat between those times because, you know, other places. So that was one of the biggest things that I was happy and ecstatic about when we finally did go 7 days, thinking about that. I know a lot of people were going hungry without food.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I remember when we were writing the grant to try to get the money to get open on the weekend, one of the things that was a concern to me is like, wow, like some people don't have access to bathrooms, right? And so when they don't have an access to bathroom, it impacts your health. There were so many health concerns that were, and hygiene, not being able to shower on the weekends. There were just so many things. And I can remember really clearly one of our members was when we opened up the on weekends, he just could not get over about how exciting it was, you know, like that he had a place to be on the weekend. I remember one of our first Sundays that we were open, we turned the TV on so we could watch the Seahawks game, you know, and that felt good for everybody just to be able to, you know, I think those of us who have homes, we take it for granted that we can just sit and watch the Seahawks game when we want to and put our feet up. And so having those little stability and just really helped our members. You know, other things that have changed is that we have a more robust food program now. So we used to have just kind of like a continental breakfast, and then at 9 o'clock we'd have like a bigger meal. But now we have that continental breakfast, and we have our breakfast, and then we have a lunch. And so really providing, you know, more food, and we also have food that people can take with them. So providing more food, you know, Derek, you know, what is the number this past month? You were telling me some pretty crazy number of meals.
Yeah, I think it was just like 80 shy of 10,000 meals for the month of September. which
Yeah,
by
so-
far breaks any previous month record. GCL Club. That was a lot.
It's a lot of meals. It's just, it kind of blows my mind. And I just want to give a huge shout out to our chef Fran. She's a member of the Macaw Nation. So, you know, the Macaw Nation is out here just supporting and feeding and loving our relatives. And Fran just does an incredible job. Our kitchen program is just one of my most favorite things that we do. You know, other really important things that have changed over the years is that we have such an amazing partnership with Seattle Indian Health Board. So Seattle Indian Health Board provides us nurses and doctors that come over and support the work. They're there on a regular basis. I think the thing that's so important about having them there regularly, like, you know, almost every day when it's not COVID, is that they get to know our members. A lot of times our members are kind of scared about like the mainstream medical system, but they can get there. A lot of our members will sometimes suffer with like wound care, and then having that wound care right there on site can get help with medication. All of that important medical services have just been incredibly important. And I think the other big change that I noticed over the 50 years is that we have such a large staff now. You know, I think let's see, Derek, when you started, how many staff were there?
There was 11, 7 full-time and 4 part-time.
Yeah, and so now we have what, 45 plus?
Yeah, 45 plus, counting the recent temp and part-times we've done because of COVID. But yeah, so we might be pushing 50, getting close to 50 now.
Right, and we're going to share with you guys a little bit later on about our different building projects, because we're out of room all over the place, and you know, we don't have enough space for our staff, and we don't have enough room to do all the programs that we want to do. I think that if you look at the growth of Chief Seattle Club, it is absolutely rooted in that we see the need for our relatives. You know, I think one interesting thing about working at the club is that we often serve literally our blood relatives. You know, I know that I have done that. I know that Derek, you have done it. I'm not sure about you, Donaldo, but it means something when you not your family.
We're not coming up from AZ.
It's too far.
It's too far from Arizona.
I've met one person, so.
but you know, I can remember maybe 5 years ago just telling the board, like, we have to do more. Like, we can't keep doing, we cannot just sit back. We have to keep fighting and fighting, advocating for our members, because they deserve every single bit of our advocacy. And like what you said in the video, Donalda, that we know as Native people, their needs. We know that culturally specific programming is going to be what's effective for them. So I am blown away. I could keep responding to that video for a long time, but I want to take a minute and talk a little bit about COVID. You know, we all saw it coming if we were watching the news, and I can remember a day kind of mid-March when the club was open in our normal way, and we kept telling people like physical distance, like 6 feet. I can hear some staff members like outside, out in the lobby saying 6 feet. I could hear them trying, but because Seattle Club is such a place for community and for hanging out and for like being with each other, it was very, very hard to make that happen. And I remember calling our board chair, Annie Kirk, and saying, Annie, like, we have to shut down everything that's going on inside, because if we don't, we're going to have people to get really, really sick. And thankfully, Annie is a public health guru, and we made plans, you know, and we started this work, and we started moving as much as we could outside. So now we're doing all of our food outside. And Derek, I just wanted you to take some time to talk a little bit about what it's been like to respond to COVID, and how we've just adapted and flexed our services.
Yeah, sure. Might take a while.
The floor is yours, Derek.
So one thing in our community, one of our our strengths really as a community is our adaptability. We as Native folks, you know, we often say, you know, this ain't our first pandemic. This ain't our first, you know, bad situation we found ourselves in the last 500 years with, you know, oppression, genocide. This colonization has really stepped in. We've learned to adapt. We've learned to overcome. We've learned to lead by our resiliency and get through things as a community and as relatives. And so COVID was no difference, but we knew we had to proceed cautiously. You know, the first thing Our concern was the safety and well-being of all of our loved ones, both the members we serve and our staff and each other.
Mhm.
So first thing, obviously, we had to do is we initiated some protocol, some safety PPE. Anybody on site in our club needs to be wearing masks. Of course, we started that even before the CDC recommendations and all that. We wanted people wearing masks. Even now, with the recent uptick, we've even upgraded into actually N95s. We're expecting people to wear, at least the staff when they're on site, some face shields. Some other things we've done also, we instituted right away this really rigorous sanitizing and cleansing thing. We expect everybody to be cleansing daily at their stations, wiping everything down multiple times a day. All the staff gets temperature checks. We started that way early. We also did members' temperatures as well whenever they came in the building. They still come in now, less frequently. So I'll talk about that now. So PPE, safety, everything was a first priority. We wanted to keep our community safe. Early on, back in March, when COVID really hit, we had to really identify what was the most crucial things that we couldn't go without. As all different providers and services started shutting down, we realized now, even with COVID and as scary as it is, our members and relatives need us more now than ever before. We needed to really find a way to be there, but of course we couldn't be there at full capacity. We had to shut down like our congregate areas, our dining room, our day area where people rest and put their feet up, take their shoes off, get on computers, things like that. We had to shut down those common things we did, common space areas. But we had to, so I talked a little bit in my introduction, or we talked about food actually a minute ago as being crucial. That is one of the most crucial things we do at Chief Seattle Club is provide that food. There's so many times our members, we know this is the only place they get their food. I mean, outside of maybe food banks or maybe food stamps or something like that, but it's so vital that we continue to provide that food for them. So that was one thing we identified very early on. There's no way we're going to get around not doing that. That was priority. So even today, that's really basically the primary thing we're doing actually on site here. But our doors are still shut, so we provide our meals at the door. We provide 2 meals, a breakfast and a lunch, in to-go containers, and we hand them out at the door. We were serving about 130 people a day before COVID hit. It's probably larger. It's much larger than that now because we're actually serving the broad community since we're serving it outside on the sidewalk in front of our doors. Since a lot of other providers shut down, we're not denying food to anybody. It's kind of our indigenous native way to do that and be there for people. As one of our members recently pointed out a few months back. So that meal was crucial. Doing such in front of our building, is really could be a lot of people there at one time. So we try to do our best to keep people socially distanced. But we also know there's a need for other programs out there because of it, because there's a lot of high stress level. PTSD is off the charts. We knew that. So one of our spiritual program people we use, Ray Williams from Swinomish, we asked him to come in 3-4 times a week. And he goes out there and offers prayers. He offers spiritual counseling, talking to people one-on-one. So he'll bring them in and go in our sacred gathering space, and he'll talk to them, obviously socially distanced, of course. But we provide that. Another thing we ramped up because of that was moteling. Mm-hmm. We actually started putting people in motels very early on, even before funding started getting put out in the community with COVID response. We just knew right then we need to get our people socially distanced, get them safe. We don't want it spreading rapidly in our community. And so we started putting people aggressively in hotels, prioritizing elderly, of course, and those with chronic health conditions and also disabilities. And we got them housed, which brought forth another question. If we're getting people housed and at the same time we're trying to encourage people to, if you have a space over your head, try to stay away from the club because you don't want to be around other people. We don't want to promote social distancing yourself. So we're like, how are they going to eat? What are we going to do? How are we going to get them food? So we actually created our new program for us anyways, a food delivery program. And to this day, we're still providing that about 30 to 40 bags of groceries a week, sending them out there, alternating different households, of course, and providing 30 to 40 bags of groceries to individuals each week. That's going well and very vital too. There's a lot of elders we don't want that are up in age. We don't want them to have to come down to Pioneer Square and expose themselves and put themselves at high risk. Other things we've done in our community at Chief Seattle Club, our wonderful partnership, Colleen talked about, with Seattle Indian Health Board. They're one of our longtime partners, and they're here for us. They've always provided on-site nurse here at this location during the weekdays, and now they're still here. They're here with even the crisis happening. They're showing Sean's his name. He's in the picture right there. He's a wonderful, wonderful, great human being. He's here on a daily basis, still here, just trudging along, and not, and just for his love and compassion of our people.
Yeah.
And with him, he brings a wonderful team too. It's the Seattle Indian Health Board. Every Tuesday, and well, now it's every Tuesday, but for the most part during COVID, every Tuesday and Thursday, they were doing COVID testing out in front of our club, free for the community, not just our Chief Seattle Club members, for anybody. Now it's kind of lowered down to just Tuesday because the need seemed to be dropping for testing, but who knows with the recent uptick in the COVID, but we might go back to twice a week. Another thing we're doing, actually starting Thursday, is regular flu shots. We're going to set up a booth out in front and start giving the community flu shots who want it, and we'll probably encourage most, of course, to actually get that done.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, it's just remarkable to hear you talk about it, Derek. And I think a lot about, again, the staff. This hasn't been easy for staff. We've had a lot of staff who, have shown up day after day after day, and especially early on, we just didn't know what the risk was, right? Like now it's a little bit more clear that that if you, are very, very careful, like you're probably going to be okay. But even then there, you just don't know, right? And so we've had staff who literally have, put their lives at risk and shown up again and again. And, I want to just take a quick pause and say, this is the time for you all to donate. We need to pay our staff. We need to give them excellent pay through this crisis. And we did, during the COVID-19 response, the initial response, we paid people an extra performance pay of $50 more a day because they were coming down into very unknown circumstances. And that has just been an important part of our philosophy as an organization, is to show that our staff, that we support them. And so again, there's just so many ways that you can support us, and donations right now is just one of the most important things you could do. So please donate, please share this video out to as many people as you know. And, Derek, I just want to say thank you for your leadership. Derek was the one who led us through this COVID response, constantly adapting. I think one of the hardest things for, Derek and I and Donalda as leaders of the organization was just constantly changing and flexing. Like there was no norm at first. It was like, oh, that worked for a day, and now we're going to try this. And, our staff had to be flexible about that. I'm thinking about our program manager, Colleen Chalmers, who was one of those people too, that we just constantly were adapting. So we kind of have a new norm that's going pretty well today, and I'm excited. But we know that we're going to continue to adapting. We're not going to stop. We're going to continue to support our relatives through this crisis. And Derek, you mentioned one of the ways we're doing that is through hoteling. And I can remember one day when I was at the club, and I saw this grandma come in that I know. And I knew that her and her son and her granddaughter had been sleeping in congregate shelter. And I was talking with her. I said, well, what are you guys doing? She said, we moved out of the shelter. We're frightened of being in congregate shelter and in COVID. And we know that many of our Native relatives who were in congregate shelter have moved out because it's scary to be, 3 feet from someone on a bed somewhere. So this grandma, my heart just broke for her. And I remember talking to you, Derek, and we're like, that was our first one that we put into a hotel room. That was like in late March, I think. And since then, we've put more and more of our elders in hotel rooms. I think just recognizing too that elders, they are our cultural bearers, right? They are the language speakers. And so it's very important to keep them in security and keep them in wellness in a hotel room. So that has been a challenge, and Donalda has been at the forefront of that. And before I want to turn over to you, Donalda, talk a little bit about what it's been like to provide housing during this process. But before, I just want to talk about our rapid rehousing program. We are really grateful for the city of Seattle in 2017 to give us money to get people into housing immediately as soon as they came in our doors to move in. And we have some of the best. We have the best success rate in the city. That if you go to a Native-led organization and you're Native, like the Chief Seattle Club, you are going to have a much quicker move-in rate. As you can see on this slide, that a Native provider gets Native people into housing in 60-day average versus the 100-day average for non-Native provider. That is not like we don't have like a magic wand we're waving, except for that our magic wand is that we are culturally based, that we know the needs of our community. We are working with relatives, not clients, not customers. These are our relatives. And so we know how to do it. And it's been really amazing to see this wonderful success rate with housing our members through our rapid rehousing program. We also know that once our folks get into the housing, that their assistance they need to stay in that housing, so subsidies and food and other assistance, that if they're getting services from a Native provider like Chief Seattle Club, that they only need that assistance for around 74 days on an average versus 161. And that just speaks so much again to the way that we understand our relatives, the way that we understand the specific needs that they have. And so I just love sharing that, because what we know is that culturally based programs are effective programs. When you consider all of the trauma that our relatives have gone through, this makes so much sense. And this is an equitable response. So Donalda, I just want to thank you so much for your leadership in this space. I want to invite you to talk a little about why Native housing works and a little bit of your experiences at Eagle Village as our first manager of that project.
Oh, okay. So with Eagle Village, we opened in November 13th. We accepted our very first member there, and it's been very exciting to have been a part of Eagle Village and to start the program going. We have 24 units there right now. Plus, with COVID happening, they gave us 5 pilot homes. So right now we have we're completely booked. I'm not booked, but completely full. And we have about 34 members there right now. Pre-COVID, Eagle Village, we were really on the ball to getting people into housing. One of the things that we allowed for the members to come in gave them about 2 weeks to get acclimated to being indoors, because a lot of the members that are at Eagle Village or were at Eagle Village had not been housed or had been in some sort of housing from I believe it was like anywhere from 4 to 7 years was the average of our members that are Eagle Village who have been homeless. So we gave them some time to get acclimated to being indoors and just kind of understanding the guidelines of being at Eagle Village and getting them hooked up with a case manager at Eagle Village as well. And we had services, everything from men and women's talking circle. We have a medicine garden going. There was the sewing circle, we had movie night, we would have community dinners. We had, thanks to the volunteer group at Bank of America, last Thanksgiving, they had provided turkey, basically provided the whole community with the meal. So with Eagle Village, it was a lot of, it was new, it was exciting, it was a lot of change. And then COVID happened. When COVID happened, everything got shut down, and all but 3 members had lost their jobs due to COVID. And so everybody was bunkered down and inside. And because people weren't able to get to groceries, the staff there, because it is 24 hours, had to move. Also for their safety, we had to go on to 12-hour rotations. So that would include myself and our case managers included in with the, myself, Lua, the case manager, and the advocates. We all went on 12-hour rotations, so that way we could, number one, distance ourselves and our members would be safe in their housing. But on top of that, what we also had to do was go and get groceries for the members. On top of groceries, we were getting them just the basic supplies and making sure, of course, everybody was frantic about toilet paper, but because we were running a shelter, we already had enough in hand. But we had to make sure that our members there had the basic necessities. And it was a very trying time, but as time has changed and things have gone on and we are in where we're at now, a lot of the members have gone, I'd say about 50% of the members have gone back to work. Some members were able to find new employment, but in the time of COVID and the chaos and everybody not knowing what is happening, we've had some great success out of that. We've actually had members who realize, hey, you know what, I should go and I need treatment. This is time for me to get treatment. It gave them that time to reflect on some stuff, and they were able to get themselves into treatment. We've had one of our longtime members there who went into treatment. He did some time, his days, and he came out and he's such a different person. He's so happy. He has a really new outlook on life right now, and it's just great to see that with him. But on top of that, we've also had another young gentleman that was there, and during COVID, his job shut down, and he was actually, we didn't know this until he came and asked, but he was actually going to school to get his realtor's license and his become a mortgage broker. And what he was doing was actually sitting outside of a Panera to use the Wi-Fi for free. And he came and he was like, is there a way I can use the Wi-Fi? I was like, yeah, you know. So in this time, he utilized his quiet time to actually get certified and get his mortgage license, get his broker's license, and everything like that. So in this meantime of that, we were able to see great success and everything like that with him. So in the time of dark, what we were saying, it was like a dark cloud over Eagle Village, but we've had some great success doing this. We've actually have moved out people during the COVID time, and pre-COVID, we've had some vets who've been able to get into housing. We've had a couple of other individuals be able to move out into housing for it. So with the good and the bad, you know, those little
That's amazing.
Little lights, you know, in there. So.
Wonderful, Donalda. It's just been so exciting. Derek and I were having a one-on-one earlier today and talking about like prior to COVID, but like going into our community room at Eagle Village, and the feeling was so incredible. Like people hanging out, people in wellness, people like supporting each other, incredible advocates like yourself there working with them. So we are so proud of Eagle Village. It's really taught us a lot about how to run a housing program. has led the way for us there. And, you know, one of the things that is so exciting for us moving forward in this next 50 years is becoming a housing provider. And so we are really, really fortunate to be building 2 buildings right now. One thing that keeps Derek and I quite busy during the day is working on getting these buildings up and running. So and in construction. So our first building we're building right now is the All project. That's 80 units of housing. It's actually not permanent supportive housing. The All project is just homeless housing. There'll be a clinic on site with the Seattle Health Board, and it is really exciting. You can see here the construction site. We have a huge crane right now. I'm right next door to our current Chief Seattle Club, and it is so exciting to finally be in this construction phase. We've been working on this project for 2 years, so to see the construction actually up and running is amazing. We'll be opening the doors for this project in October of 2021. So really right around the corner. As you can see, it's a beautiful building. This building was designed in partnership with our staff, you know, we worked with our architect is John Paul Jones of Jones & Jones, and he is a well-known native architect. So we were so excited to work with him, but also to bring in our staff to help on the design of this building and to honor the Coast Salish community that we're in. So we are thrilled to be thinking about that project and getting it up and running. And then our other project is called Sacred Medicine House. And this is a building that we're building out in North Seattle in Lake City. So District 5. And this building is 125 units of permanent supportive housing. So this is folks who have been experiencing chronic homelessness, who have behavioral health work that they need to be doing. They also have maybe medical stuff that's going on with them that they need to be in housing that's going to support them. And you can see here the where we're going to be putting the new building right there on Lake City Way. It's right on transit. We're thrilled to be building out there in Lake City Way and excited about really offering the kind of housing that's going to support some of our folks who've been struggling for years and years and years in homelessness. So it's kind of shocking that this building will open in the first quarter of 2022. So in 2022, we'll have opened over 230 units of housing. You guys, I want to applause. It's just amazing to say that because, we did not know we were going to do this, but the Creator has led us this way. Our ancestors have pushed us and said, do this work on behalf of our relatives. One thing that I try to say as often as I can, that our healing as Native community is connected to being able to house our relatives, to be able to house our elders, and to say, we're here for you as Native community, even though you're far away from your home community, but we are here and we are with you. I also wanted to say that the All project is all is the Lashutsi word for home. And that just means so much to me. And I wonder, Derek and Donalda, if you guys could just reflect a little bit on that. What does it mean to be creating home for our relatives with this new housing?
Sure. You want to go first, Dee? Or you want me to?
No, I can. So, I mean, it's an amazing feeling because I remember when we first, in a staff meeting, it was first brought up, and it was just like, wow, to be able to get our displaced members, relatives into housing is just one thing. It's a feeling, but to actually see all and see what was there before, to see where it's at now, and to know that 2021 October is really around the corner, the feeling is just a good feeling, and just to actually know that it was a conversation, and from a conversation, it just started being where it's at now. So it's just really a great feeling. I'm so excited to actually see the members that are going to be living there and how the impact of being in a Native community, living next door to their to each other relatives and everything, how exciting that's going to be. So I'm really excited, just to be honest, to see that.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I just kind of second that. And when you bragged up our mission a while ago, that really sums it up. Creating that sacred space, what we do at Chief Seattle Club, that means so much. So many times people on the streets and who are homeless, especially chronically homeless, those who've been in there for years, walking through the city, being forgotten, not having a really strong place of welcoming for them, no space of their own. To be able to provide this in a very indigenized manner, in a bringing that Native essence to it, and the work we do and the love we do, and just bringing that sense of community, the sense of belonging to our relatives is just so much. I really, really stoked about this permanent support housing, because that's really, and then Eagle Village. Come on, they're all just so great. So good. It has such a warm spot in my heart. It's hard to I try to well, which one's my favorite? But they're all kind of got their own thing to them, right? And it's just I just look forward to the future here at Chief Seattle Club and doing future projects and getting our community healed. And, it starts with that space. That's our mission. That's just perfect.
Creating that sacred space to nurture, affirm, and renew the spirit of urban Native people. And we've got these 3 projects, and this will not be our last. We know that it is part of our calling. It's our mission to do this work. And I just can't thank you guys enough. I also just want to say this is a time to donate. I love it. I feel like I'm on public radio or a telethon, please donate. We're really grateful for the partnership of some corporate sponsors who've donated a lot of money towards this virtual series, Comcast and Zillow, and the Seattle Kraken. So stand with the Seattle Kraken, support us as the NHL is supporting this work, and we're just thrilled to be able to do it. I think you could hear that in our voices, that this work is more than work. It's heart work. It's so thrilling and exciting to be able to do it on behalf of our members. So this is the second day of our virtual series. Tomorrow, please join us for Joy Harjo at 12:30. It is amazing to be able to have the U.S. Poet Laureate sharing with us during our virtual luncheon. On Thursday, we'll be talking about our Sovereignty Farm project, which is beyond exciting. We're excited about this housing, but we're super excited to be able to be doing this work in partnership with Valerie Seagrass, my sister Hillel Echohawk, Britt Reed, Tamara Power Rudis to talk with our Native Works manager, Lacey Warrior, about the importance of Sovereignty Farm. That will be working with our Native Works apprentices. And then on Friday, we'll be talking about the history of Chief Seattle Club and celebrating this work. We'll also be celebrating 2 new awards, the Stiff Arm Visionary Leadership Award and the Trisha Trainer Spirit Award. We're so excited to honor these wonderful people who've contributed so much to us. And we're also excited to present a special presentation award that 8th Generation and Louis Gong has been working with us on. So we're excited to premiere all that on Friday. We want to continue to invite you to donate and share all of our media that we've been putting out the past couple of days. I also just want to thank our staff for their work on this and our board. One final thing I'm going to say before I turn it over to you, Derek, is we also put out 2 podcasts in the past 9 months. There's a Growing Old podcast that talks a little bit about Eagle Village and how we have been creating a medicine garden at Eagle Village. It also talks about the work of supporting our environment in an urban environment. And then also we have a podcast that we've worked with the City of Seattle Office of Arts and Culture called Natives Were Never Homeless Before 1492. It's a really wonderful podcast that shares some personal stories about how our members and how our staff have responded to the COVID-19 crisis. So thank you everyone for all of your support. And I just want to turn it over to Derek for some final words.
Thank you, Colleen. Yeah, so I'm gonna do the ask today. This ain't normally my thing, so I just thank you all, and we're gonna ask that all of you follow through with more of your continual support and love for the Chief Seattle Club, and dig deep into them pockets. And once you think you've hit the bottom, keep digging. There's always more. That's just joke. Whenever I do an ask or anything before the club, I always kind of talk about my own story. It's been out there many times. Some of you may have heard. Before I was employed at Chief Seattle Club, I was first and foremost a member. 11 years ago, I became a member of the Chief Seattle Club. I was alone, lost, homeless, battling my own demons on the streets. I know firsthand what it feels like to be isolated, alone out there, to be scared and not wanting to reach out for help from other places, to just give up hope for reaching out for others for help. Feeling that loss of hope and that fear and that wonder if you were gone, would anybody notice, that type of thing. And then I stumbled across Chief Seattle Club, or maybe the club found me, however you look at it. I remember walking through the club, like in that video it mentioned it had me on there. I remember hearing that drumming, like I said, in that gathering circle. And I remember seeing the kindness and the care, the general care out of the staff, the front desk person who knew I was Native because we had shared similar experiences. I knew it was genuine and sincere. I knew there was real love there. I remember spending that first day here at the Chief Seattle Club, walking around, and all the staff and all the members as well recognized me as a new member. And I seen that generous, that kindness, that love for each other that we have here. And I knew then that I may have been still literally homeless, but I did have a home, and I knew that I had a family. And I knew that I belonged someplace, that I lost that feeling for a very long time. And it rekindled my heart. It rekindled my spirit. It regenerated my hope in each other and our community. And it's got me to where I am today. I know it's a cliche when people say things like, if I can do it, anybody can. But I know the level of despair I was feeling 11 years ago, wanting to give up out on there. And when I came across Chief Seattle Club and what it did for me and how I've turned my life around and how many others I've witnessed turn their lives around because of Chief Seattle Club, I know it works, and I know we can save lives, and with your generous support, we can do it together. So I raise my hands up in gratitude, and I ask that you contribute and help us change and better the lives of our Indigenous relatives here in this area. And say, Chimigwich, and Dinaway, Magana Nanak. So finally, I'm going to close out today by introducing a video by a couple longtime partners and general supporters of the Chief Seattle Club. Pearl Jam, a couple members of Mike McCready and Stone Gossard. Yeah, I hope you enjoy it. And just again, our hands go up to Pearl Jam and Steve and Mike as well, or Stone. Thank you. Thank you all.
Hello, my name is Stone Gossard, and I'm here with Mike McCready, and we're welcoming you to the annual Chief Seattle Lunch. We're honored to be here, and we're honored to be part of bringing this welcome pole back to Salish land. We want to thank everyone for coming today. We want to welcome everybody and encourage everybody to be generous. We're in unprecedented times, and the emergency that we're facing in regards to homelessness and food shortages is bound to get worse. And I think right now, as Seattleites, we need to find our most generous spirits and really dig as deep as we can to help alleviate some of this suffering.
Going to the luncheon last year was very enlightening in terms of hearing about the new facilities that they're building for the Indigenous homeless population of Seattle, and the fundraising they need to do that, and the ties to the community that we all need to be part of and need to be. I feel like we can help. I love being part of that kind of thing. Hopefully, to be part of a solution.
You can't live in Seattle and not have experienced the horror of seeing people living on the streets and living in tents, and the disconnect between how much money there is in this city and how we have been unable to solve this issue is something that it makes us all crazy. And I think our impetus for the home show was that obviousness, and Chief Seattle Club has been on the forefront of confronting that obviousness, and we want to continue to work with them as they take up the unique challenge of facing First Peoples and Indigenous peoples homelessness, and veterans homelessness, housing inequality. Those kinds of issues they have to be addressed, and we hope to assist in some way in helping them do that.
We're very passionate about wanting to support the Chief Seattle Club and homeless Indigenous population of Seattle. We feel like the Chief Seattle Club does a fantastic job and continues to. We are in crazy times right now, as we all know, and more than ever, we need to donate money and time to these kind of to this organization, and we're happy to be part of that, and our band is doing the same. Thank you.
On top of a donation that Pearl Jam is making towards the welcome pole, we are also making a $50,000 pledge to Chief Seattle Club as a collaboration with Pearl Jam in regards to directly adding funds for emergency food and shelter for next year. We hope that we can get others to join us as well. We know that we will have an unprecedented challenge ahead, and we're looking forward to that challenge and appreciate everybody coming today. So thank you so much.